All right, one last question. You mentioned
Uh-huh.
I have almost a sugar addiction. Like I add it to my cereal all the
Mhm.
time and tea and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
You did mention honey. Can you explain again? Like
Mhm.
you said, I think how I interpret it now is that the if I add honey as a sweetener instead of sugar, there's natural health benefits to honey versus sugar.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
you said it'll also, I guess, benefit me cholesterol wise, right? Or
Mhm.
were you talking about
Well, the
insulin or something like that?
right, and so the sugar is better than aspartame or that other stuff that they make in a lab. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you had to choose between those, choose sugar. But sugar is inflammatory, and so if you have cholesterol issues, which you kind of on the borderline do, and you eat sugar and refined foods like refined rice, refined flour, then it's going to cause a little bit of a inflammation, and in the setting of your cholesterol, it contributes to the plaque development. So that's how that kind of ties together. Honey, the reason why I say that that's better is because unlike sugar, which has no nutritional value, it provides energy and that's it. And sometimes you need that. So I'm not saying don't ever eat it, but honey also provides energy because it's sweet. It has a lot of carbs, but it also has, because the bees make it, it comes from nature. It helps with allergies. It's not like an alternative treatment for allergies and things in your environment. So if you eat honey, local honey, the things like the pollens, the trees, and all that stuff that's in your environment, the bees kind of produce a honey, like a serum, basically, right? This golden serum that's kind of a mix of all of everything that's in the trees and the air and all that. And then you eat it. It's like your immune system now realizes this is what's in my environment, and it knows how to deal with it. It recognizes it as being something that it shouldn't be afraid of. So that's one big benefit of honey. Two, it doesn't increase your blood sugar quite as quickly as regular sugar. It requires a little bit of a breakdown. And anytime you eat anything sweet, whether it's a carrot that's kind of sweet, orange juice, or whatever, the more your body has to do to break it down into sugar, the slower your blood sugar will go up, and the less insulin has to be squirted out.
Mm-hmm.
Because so it can come out more slowly as opposed to spiking. So honey does have a spike. I'm not going to try to make it sound like it's like a wonder drug or but the spike is slower because your body has to do a few things before it's just simple sugar. Whereas sugar is sugar, and it can be absorbed through your stomach, basically, through your almost, I don't know if it can be through your mouth, but almost, like when you have diabetics and they're in a diabetic coma, you can put some sugar in their mouth or whatever, and it starts to absorb. I don't know if it's exactly absorbing through their mouth, honestly, but it absorbs really quickly through the mucosa, meaning but somewhere between the mouth and the stomach it comes out, whereas things like carrots have to be broken down, and that's sweet too. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to add sugars, it's better to, or sweet things, it's better to add honey given the choice. So things like coffee, if you like the taste of honey, you can add it in coffee, you can add it in tea. It's really good in tea, of course, and you can mix it around and try, test it on your cereals and things like that. But also other things for your cereals to consider is if you cut up fruits and things,
Mm-hmm.
like sweet strawberries and things like that, that might satisfy your sweet tooth, just as well as sugar, especially after a while, because when you stop eating the sugar, you'll feel like, oh, I'm missing it, I'm missing it. But then after a week or two, you'll stop craving it as much, just like anything that you drink or eat a lot or anything you do a lot. After a while, your craving will diminish. Like people who smoke, the cravings are really high at first, but then after 5 years, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
they can now be around a cigarette and not smoke or an alcoholic, whereas that initial transition is the hardest. So if you're able to kind of cut back on the sugar, you'll feel better in long term because you have a family history of these things. It's in your genes that you could develop these things, and so you want to be aware of that. And if you're not making a decision now to cut back, because your attitude might be, and I would understand, I'm not diabetic now, so I may I may as well enjoy what I can now, because if I'm going to be a diabetic when I'm 40 and I can't have cake anymore, I may as well enjoy it now. And
Mm-hmm.
I get the logic, and that's true, but there might be a way you can prevent diabetes if you cut back now, and you may never have to experience where you can't have cake ever because you're diabetic.
Gotcha. Yeah.